It's that time again. XJ Talk Show is on the air. Okay, well, it's a podcast. But you know what I mean. Anyway, here's Tony.
Well, thank you very much. And also, too, thank you to Tom. Tom recorded me some little drops, voice drops, and I finally got around to getting it edited and put into the show. Those are really good, Tom. Thank you. So anyway, today's show is going to be great because nobody ever says today's show is going to. You might as well stop listening now. But truth in advertising, I don't think it's. I think it is a good show. I think the interviews are always very good, and I think the Jeep tip sections are always very good and informative. So stick around. And actually, what we're going to have today is we're going to start off with a question that somebody called in to our voicemail. It's been a long time since we've had a question called in like that, and it's great. It was a nice surprise for me, and I want to encourage all you guys to call in your questions and have them on the show, or just call in and tell us how you like the show. You don't have to be in an interview situation if that makes you nervous. Just call in and give us a little promo what you think about XJ Talk. And actually, if you don't like the show, I'd like to hear that too. Frankly, I think it'd be funny as hell to play. So if you want to make something up, that's cool too, but it'll probably break my heart. So we're going to have that. We're going to have our Jeep Tips segment with Josh in W99XJ, or it's XJ99. Anyway, Josh will correct me. And following that, we'll have our first-time interview with Dan, and he has his own podcast called the 4x4 Podcast. We were able to get him on, a little connection we made through Facebook, and he was more than happy to do it. I think that's wonderful of him to do. It's kind of like what we do with the other Jeep websites. We're not afraid of them. We like to promote them because that's the whole idea behind xjtalk.com is to help our fellow Jeep Cherokee owners get the help they need and, get things fixed cheaply, get them fixed right. So we're always happy to talk about naxja.org or Cherokee Forum, Jeep Forum. There's so many out there, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so flattered that there's over 2,000 xjtalk.com members now. We've been going a little over 3.5 years, and you guys have been great showing your support. We have a good solid core of people that are on the site at least once a week, most of them every day. And we have several very knowledgeable technical people that check in daily and are very good about answering questions. I'll get on there and I'll try to answer the questions. Most of the time, I think I get it right. A lot of that is from me going into Google and looking things up and reading 2 or 3 stories and seeing what makes the most sense to me. And then reporting that back. I always try to report it back when I'm answering a question that this is what I read. And I don't want to give anybody the illusion that I know for sure because of my experience. Now, when I have experienced it, I will say this was my experience. So hopefully truth in advertising, as far as the answer you get from me, I think I've helped some people, but I know that we do have some very technical members that are very sharp and are able to help. And also, too, xjtalk.com is entertaining. We enjoy getting on there, and if you're a guest, then you probably have not seen our chat window, which is at the top of the forum. It's close to the top. It's a small window, and sometimes there's a lot of activity going on in the chat, and that is chat, as in real-time chat amongst xjtalk.com members. But you do need to be a member to see that, and it's really for the kids' protection that even though we're a family-friendly site, it is an 18 or older site because, come on, we're all adults, and we should be able to discuss things as adults. And we try to keep it, like I said, family-friendly, but because the kids can still see it, but we try to do our best to minimize that exposure as much as possible. So If you're not a member, you should join, if nothing else, so you can see everything that's on the site. The chat will be available. And also, too, you'll get rid of some of the ads. Yeah, you'll get rid of some of the ads if you become a member. And I think you need to get up to 100 posts to get rid of at least half of the ads, maybe more. So a couple of incentives there, not only to join, but to post. And of course, that's the lifeblood of a forum, are the posts, because unless people are talking about what's going on with their lives, their Jeeps, what they found interesting today, posting pictures, then it's not that an interesting of a site. And that's one of the reasons why we try to make sure that we bring everybody in with arms outstretched and welcome, and not criticize you and not tell you what you should and shouldn't do. We try to have a good attitude on the site, and I think we've been doing that. I think that there's a couple of people that have had some issues, but mainly it is overwhelmingly it's a great site. It's very friendly, and well, actually, I think Steve said it best.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you about xjtalk.com. It's a great site. There's no bashing. Everybody's nice and friendly. Great place to be.
Yep, and that's the way we are going to make sure it stays, and we do so with a very light touch. Nothing public. If you get out of line, we just send you a PM and let you know where you went off the rails. And it's, nothing personal. It's just how we want to make sure that the site is available for everybody to feel comfortable in asking questions and expressing themselves within the confines of not upsetting the other people. Yeah, it's about as close to hippie-fied as you can get, but I thought it was really important that there be a alternative to the other Jeep sites where people would feel comfortable expressing themselves. So anyway, I think we should get on with the show, and I can stop talking at least in this segment, and I'll be talking a lot more in the other segments. No, you really can't get away from me, but that might be changing soon. We may be having some, we may be having a co-host show up really soon, so stay tuned for that.
Hi, this is Bob from Moab, Utah. I just bought on XJ last week, and I was wondering, what do you guys think about reinforcing the unibody? I've read some posts that say that's a good idea, and I've heard other people say it's not necessary with mine. Mine's a 2001. I was just wondering what your members thought. Like I said, I joined XJ Talk last week. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Hi, this is Steve from 4.3 liter XJ from xjtalk.com. That's kind of a subjective question, really. It's not necessary under normal use, and unless a person is really flexing the suspension all the way out and getting opposite corners bottom down in the suspension, it's really not necessary. But it's not a bad idea. I personally am going to stiffen my own frame, but I do a lot of rock crawling, and I do get into a lot of extreme angles and so forth with my own. But I haven't had a problem so far. I've never had any cracks. I've never been able to not open the door when I needed to or anything like that. So it's not something that you have to do, but it's something that's maybe not a bad idea if you want to look at it from a preventative standpoint. And there are several options available that Tony can address with that.
Hi, this is Josh, Northwest 99XJ on the forum. Bob, especially in Moab, Utah, if you're going to be doing any sort of off-roading and whatnot, the unibody is definitely going to be beneficial by being reinforced. You're going to see a lot of improvements in on-road handling as well as performance off-road. The Jeep Cherokee unibody, especially the two doors, I don't know if you have a two-door or four-door, but the two doors are even more unstable. The unibody, not having a true dedicated frame, likes to twist and flex as you go off-road with the suspension pushing back up on the body, and as you go on uneven terrain, especially a lot of that slick rock there in Moab, Utah, the XJ can get quite twisted up. And you might not notice it until you would maybe put a tire up on a big rock, try and get out and open up the rear hatch to get some recovery gear or something, and lo and behold, you're stuck. The rear hatch won't open. You can't get into the rig. The doors might not seat properly. You might notice they kind of give an extra clunk when you close them and stuff like that. That's the unibody flexing. There's a lot of aftermarket companies out there that are making really good products with the unibody stiffening. And TNT Customs is one that comes to mind. I'm just shooting from the hip here off the top of my head. And there's several other companies out there that make full front to back unibody stiffening kits. Now, most of them are weld-in, so you're going to have to, have some experience with welding, a little bit of fabrication to get those involved. And there's things like your suspension upgrades that you're going to have to take into consideration either during or after unibody stiffening when you're thinking about lift kits and things like that. A lot of long arm kits use a cross member where they may or may not have allowances for unibody stiffening. And because usually a unibody stiffening kit is going to be 3/16 or 1/8 inch plate that is sandwiched on the unibody frame rails, and I'm going to use that term loosely. All it is really double, triple thickness 16 gauge sheet metal that is formed to a channel that runs on either side of the Jeep to create a pseudo frame. And these plates get welded up to that from front to rear. And there's varying kits that will give you, increasing stiffness, and things like, a rear trailer hitch can even improve your, stiffness a little bit. I know when I did my class 3 hitch in the back of my 99 Cherokee, I noticed it right away. Not having a hitch back there before, I could feel the road manners change a little bit, having that lateral brace from one side of the frame to the other with that trailer hitch back there. So things like cross members in the front, cross members in the rear can help with stiffness, as well as frame rail stiffness. Things like the TNT Customs frame stiffeners will help a lot. So, Bob, to get back to your question, I do think it's a good idea. I do think the benefits way outweigh the cons, which I can't personally think of any cons to stiffening up the unibody, other than the time and cost involved and the possibility of you might not be able to get the suspension upgrades that you want if you're looking at a long arm kit. So I would highly recommend it. I would look into it. I would do some research, explore some of the kits that are out there, look at what they have to offer, how they're made, and what it's going to take to put those in, and maybe even talk to some of your local four-wheel drive shops or fabricators or welders and see what kind of cost is going to be incurred in trying to install something like that. Now, if you can weld yourself, then go berserk, man, and have fun with it.
This segment brought to you by DetoursUSA.com. 10 years of innovating, not imitating XJ products. Check out www.detoursusa.com. And Detours wants to remind everyone to practice safe sex. No pig borking till you wrap that rascal. Son of a bitch.
Jeep Tips.
And we have Josh, Northwest 99XJ, or NW99XJ, as you've probably seen on xjtalk.com. And Josh has a Jeep tip for us this week. Josh, what do you got?
Well, as many of us know, when you start to lift up your Jeep, you got to deal with those dreaded driveline vibrations. And, you can do a transfer case drop, but as most of us know, the best way to go about it is a slip yoke eliminator. And for those of you a little unfamiliar with it, I'll be real quick and say a slip yoke eliminator, what that does is it removes the slip yoke from the transfer case output and moves it to the driveline. If some people have the horror stories of overflexing their suspension and the driveline coming right out of the transfer case, the slip yoke eliminator eliminates the slip yoke in the transfer case. And there's two methods to do this. There's the hack and tap method, which I personally have used because I have the NP242 transfer case, where there's very limited options for the slip yoke eliminator, and the more common NP231 or the NV231, which is primarily the most found transfer case in Jeeps. And how the slip yoke eliminator kit works is it's a new output shaft. You basically split the case, the transfer case, and you will be putting in a different output shaft. A lot of people think, oh man, there's a lot of gears in there, and that could be real scary work. Actually, it's not. I thought the same thing delving into mine, and I actually had to replace my output shaft. That's a whole nother story. We'll get into that another day.
Oh my God, you didn't bend it, did you?
No, I didn't bend it. This is
the one where you broke the tap off in it.
Yes, sir, and that was quite the ordeal.
Okay, I won't tell. I won't ask any more about that. That's painful enough just to remember. I saw the picture.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, and I'll also say it was very easy when I did my SYE on my NP242. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I was the same way. Once I actually got the transfer case out and got it split apart and started pulling things apart, I was surprised at really how easy things came. As long as you keep track of the clips and the order of which you pulled things out and stuff, yes. It's really not that hard. But here's the trick: is on the newer transfer cases. This is going to be on the newer models, 96 and up. There is a seal that goes around the output shaft in the cone on the back of the transfer case, and it's kind of like an axle shaft seal, and it is very, very finicky, and it can be nicked or damaged really easy when you're trying to get that cone back onto the back end of that transfer case around the new output shaft. It can get damaged kind of easily, and it's got a little spring in there. It does have a little spring,
and you nick that, and that spring comes out, and then so does the fluid.
Yeah, you can roll that lip. You can bend that spring really easy, and that spring is small. We're less than what you'd find in a little clicky pen or something like that. Yeah. So you got to be real careful. A lot of people have had success with, I just goop it up with grease really well and slide that cone on it and be good. And you may have had success with that or not. What I have found is a really good trick to do is, the grease works. You want to have that handy because you're going to use it, but a little bit of electrical tape around the splined end. And you want to make sure that you start from the inside of the shaft, working your way to the outside, wrapping some electrical tape around those splines all the way out to the tip. And that's the most important part, is the tip. Even though most of those output shafts have a little bit of a bevel to them on the end of the splined output shaft, those splines are still pretty sharp. The edges are sharp. And they can go ahead and just the slightest little nick on that seal will end up spraying transfer case fluid all over your undercarriage. So the electrical tape will actually help protect that output shaft seal from getting nicked. And the grease, of course, once you wrap it up, you're going to slather it with grease. But you leave yourself a little tab, all the way out to the end of the shaft. And we're only talking, maybe 2 or 3 inches worth of electrical tape, wrapped around 2 or 3 inches of shaft, I should say. But the electrical tape will go all the way to the end, and you leave yourself a little bit that you can grab onto at the end. And it's important to go from the inside to the outside, because once you're all reassembled and you've got your electrical tape on, you've slathered everything down with grease, you've got your output shaft cone, your rear seal put back on and everything, you go ahead and you start to remove that tape, and it will just pull right off, especially being all greased, and that seal will be protected, and it will collapse right down onto the output shaft in absolute perfect shape.
Oh, that's a great idea. I went through probably 3 of them, and I think I had transfer case problems because I was always running low on fluid because of that issue.
Yeah, after I did my first one, I thought I had it right. I thought I put so much grease on there. There's no way this thing would have been damaged. And honestly, after I had taken it back out, it was hard to see where there was any damage. But I was driving home one day, and I'd done the repair, the Slip Yoke Eliminator the night before, went to work the next day, driving home, and I'm noticing this giant mist of smoke and spray behind me as I'm driving down the freeway. What the heck is that? And I get home thinking, the worst, that I've blown something in the engine or something like that. And I climb underneath, and the entire undercarriage just absolutely coated in transmission, in the transfer case fluid.
Yeah, and it's from the transfer case back, which is a good sign for the motor and the transmission, but a bad sign for the transfer case.
I mean, luckily, I didn't lose all that much. I didn't run it dry or anything like that. So I was able to get home, and there was still, plenty of fluid left in there. You'd be surprised at how how much a little bit of fluid will coat how much undercarriage, and of course spraying all over the the hot muffler and exhaust and stuff, it creates quite a bit of smoke too.
Right, and everybody needs to understand that it doesn't matter if you're in four-wheel drive or not. If you're in a 240, running a 242, of course you can be running down the road and full-time four-wheel drive, and certainly part-time for the 231 or the 242. But what you may not understand is those parts in the transfer case are always turning. It doesn't matter if you're in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. So you need that fluid in there. So don't think, oh yeah, I'm leaking fluid, I'll worry about this later, I'll worry about checking it, filling it up, blah, blah, blah. No, it affects you if the Jeep is moving.
And you don't have to have a lift kit to, have, transfer case issues or have to worry about replacing that output shaft seal. Some of you guys running stock vehicles that may have higher miles, those output seals can wear out over time, especially, in some of the saltier climates, people living by the coast or where they salt the roads, those seals might wear out a little bit faster. And, you might find that it'd be time to replace that seal. It is something you can do yourself. It's a little bit more involved than changing your oil. But if you're used to wrenching on a vehicle, especially a Jeep, it's really not all that entailed.
Now you mentioned driveline vibrations. Why would a SYE kit have anything to do with improving driveline vibrations?
Well, as some of you may know, the stock driveline it's not set up for high angles, and so when you start lifting the vehicle up, you're increasing the driveline angle in relation to the pinion at the rear axle, and of course where that driveline meets the output shaft of the transfer case. Going to a slip yoke eliminator, you then upgrade your drive shaft to a double cardan or CV joint drive shaft. And what that enables you to do is run a steeper driveline angle. As the more lift you go, the higher you get up away from that rear axle. And remember that transfer case is right up there next to the body. And the more lift you have, the further away that body gets from that rear axle. And a lot of guys can get away with it by throwing a couple, degree shims in that rear axle underneath the leaves and helping point that rear pinion back up towards the transfer case, which I recommend doing in any case, because that just takes that much more stress off of those U joints down by the axle. But when you start lifting the vehicle with that stock drive shaft, especially in the older models, a lot of guys, it looks like a stick in a coffee can. It's not set up for those steep angles of a lifted Jeep, and those vibrations can occur because basically what's happening is that those U joints, those joints inside of those yokes, are basically bottoming out. And it's so stressed out, it's basically hyperflexing or hyperextending those joints. And so every time that driveline goes around in a rotation, you're bottoming out on one of those U joints and inside that yoke. And those are where the vibrations are coming from.
And also too, that would I guess that would mean that the U joints will wear out quicker.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand if you put the slip yoke on the rear of the transfer case. There's a drive shaft in front. Don't you have to modify that one as well?
No, you don't, because the output shaft of the NV or the MP transfer cases, that's new venture or new process. That's what most of the transfer cases we have in our Jeeps, primarily the NP 231 or the 242. The 249s, I believe, were found in the Grand Cherokees. Those were the all-wheel drive all the time. But all these transfer cases have a fixed yoke output for the front. And so you have the double cardan style drive shaft for the front of the vehicle. And oftentimes what guys will do, even in my case, you go to a junkyard, you search around, you find a front drive shaft because it's set up for what you're going to be doing in the rear. And a lot of guys will be running a front drive shaft out of a Cherokee for their rear drive line after they do a slip yoke eliminator.
Which I guess means that you now have a spare drive shaft. So
indeed, if you end up breaking a U-joint or, worse, twisting up a drive shaft or bending it up on the trail, you're looking at not being able to get home. And so you would be able to just unbolt your front drive shaft, put it in the rear, and limp your way home. And, well, it wouldn't be limping. You'd be able to get down off the trail and drive around in regular two-wheel drive.
Oh, that's great. It's nice having spares on the Jeep like that. And I guess technically you could drive home in four-wheel drive. It would be a front-wheel drive, which is the popular thing that all the manufacturers seem to be making now anyway. So I hate front-wheel drives, but well, that's really cool. So have you seen any downsides to the hack and tap method? I know I'm not a big fan of the hack and tap.
Once you get into, bigger lifts and especially bigger tires, you get into those gear ratios, like 488s and 518s, I think would be the next step up from that. There's a lot of torque that's applied on things in there. When you're getting up into maybe 35s and above, you're flirting a little bit with danger on that. But I have heard of guys that have been running the hack and tap successfully, doing extreme four-wheeling with the hack and tap, running 33s, running 35s, and for years being just fine. It's going to really come down to, I think, your driving style, how hard you are off-road. I think the biggest thing to stay away from with a hack and tap would be a high angle bounce where your front end is way up in the air and you're climbing over a very steep obstacle. You're running very deep gears. You've got big tires. We're talking 35s or larger, and you're trying to climb this face of an obstacle, and your Jeep is doing that bouncing up and down, and you're really, you're going to be wrapping up that rear axle against the suspension and, of course, the driveline. And what's connected at the end of the driveline? Well, your slip yoke eliminator to the transfer case. I'm not saying it's a weak point. Oftentimes a U-joint strap is going to pop before your hack and tap would, because especially it's secured with grade 8 hardware more times than not. At least it should be. But it could theoretically be a weak point. I do know there are guys out there running them, and they're running them hard, and they last. But ultimately, the best solution would be a short shaft, replacing that output shaft with a fixed yoke style for the slip yoke eliminator coming out of the rear output of a transfer case.
Yeah, and that's what I went with, which was the Tom Woods solution for my MP242, and it's absolutely wonderful, but it required a custom drive shaft and the short. You have to replace the tail cone, and you replace the shaft, and it's very nice, but it's very expensive. I think it was $475 after I sent back all the other parts, the cores.
Yeah, because they do require a core on that particular kit, don't they?
Yes. Well, it's interesting because I spoke with one of the people there at Tom Woods, and he said that you would be really surprised how many people do not send the cores. So they literally are sitting on $400 worth of refund. So
yeah, because you'll be out of pocket, about $800 some odd initially, but you get a big chunk of that back sending in the core.
Yeah, it's a hard purchase to make unless you have lots of credit on your credit card, because it was like $900 up front, and but like I say, you get about $400 back. Now that's the MP242 is a little more expensive than their 231 solution.
Yes.
But I was just going to say too, a lot of people get away with a lot of things that are what is common do not do in the Jeep knowledge database, like run a Dana 35, which I know Steve 4.3 LXJ runs a Dana 35, and he just went off road last weekend and he's fine. It all has to do with skinny pedal, skinny pedal, folks. Being smart about things and choosing your trail and driving skill is what it amounts to. But I'm just glad I have an 8 1/4 on the back of mine, and I don't. To me, it's one less worry, less skill I have to have.
Yeah.
So anyway, it sounds like an SYE is a good idea, and I was asking that question about the front because I know some people would that aren't knowledgeable in the area would say, okay, well that's fine. I got the front taken care of. What do I do? I mean, I've got the rear end taken care of. What do I do about the front? I personally don't fully understand why they went to the time and expense of doing the slip yoke being inside the drive shaft on the front, and they didn't do the same thing in the back.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. I mean, you're already doing it on the front. The technology's there. It's, obviously proven. Why not do it in the rear? And I just don't understand.
It had to have been 59 cent savings on the line or something.
That's what it was.
I'm sure if we got right down to the meat of the matter, that it would make plenty of sense as the reason why they did it. But to somebody that is lifting the Jeep and taking it off road, it would have just been so nice if they have just done the back drive shaft just like they did the front. And one other thing that you didn't mention is the really nice thing is that if you do break something in the rear, the drive shaft, anything that disables the drive line from the transfer case back to the axle, you can take that drive shaft out and you don't have to worry about leaking fluid, because
that's right.
You got that yoke on there just like you have on the front of your transfer case, and it will be perfectly fine. It'll just spin while you're driving along, and it's not going to be spraying out transfer case fluid. So it's a wonderful.
Yeah, because the stock setup, it does. I mean, the stock setup makes it so that the output shaft is essentially hollow, going right into the transfer case, and your drive line slides in and out of that, and you lose that drive line stock with no slip yoke eliminator. You're on the trail, you're going to be leaking fluid all day long, and that's not only bad for the engine, but it's also bad for the transfer case. Rather, it's also bad for the environment. You don't need to be spilling fluids out on the trails.
Yep.
So with the slip yoke eliminator, it seals that transfer case up button tight. And worst case scenario, you do break a drive shaft, you're not going to be stranded, and you're not going to be leaking fluids.
Right, and even if you're not a big environmentalist. I'm not big on the environment, but I am big on them closing trails.
Yes. Yes.
So keep that in mind, that even if you don't think, oh, what do I care? Well, if they close the trail and you can't go out there and play, then maybe you would.
Yeah, I'm not what you'd call a huge environmentalist either, but I like having the trails open, and the more that we can do as a community, as Jeep owners, to keep those trails open, the better. And if that means making sure we're not spilling fluids on the trail, then so be it. Yeah,
I have no problem with people with tree huggers, but I remember I took a poop in the woods one time and had to lean against the tree, and I had a rash for a good 3 weeks. So I don't know how they do it. Well, Josh, thanks a lot for this week's Jeep tip.
Absolutely, thanks, Tony.
And now for a disclaimer. Jeep Tips is for entertainment purposes only. If you choose to follow these tips, man up and take the responsibility for your own actions. If you cannot, or you feel that working on your Jeep is beyond your abilities, seek the help or advice of a trained certified mechanic. Hi, tonight we have Dan, Jeepin' Idaho from xjtalk.com and host of the 4x4 podcast. Hey, Dan, thanks for joining us tonight and doing this interview.
Hey, my pleasure. Any chance I get to sit down with somebody and talk about Jeeps it's a pleasure.
Yeah, interestingly, I found out today that Dan is in the Army and he's out in the Mojave Desert right now, talking on his cell phone through Skype. So if it sounds a little funky, it actually sounds a lot better than it would be if it was a cell call. And Dan's going the extra mile to do this interview with us, so I'm very happy that he's able to do that. First off, Dan, is it hot out there?
It's been a very nice day. Today, I think it may have just barely broke 90 degrees. Usually, like 2 days ago, I was getting a nice hot wind.
I call that the blow dryer.
Yeah, it's like sticking your head in front of a blow dryer. That's really all it is. You can't even cool off.
Yeah.
But now I think it's cooled off to about 80 degrees, 82. Feels nice.
Well, it's the differences that you notice. If it's like 3 inches from the surface of the sun and now it's 80, then you're thankful for what you can get.
Yeah, a week and a half ago it was like 115 out here, so this is a welcome change.
So Dan, I recently became aware of your podcast. I was looking around through. I think I actually saw it on Beyond Pod, the little application, and I was doing searches for things. And I went, wow,
Okay.
look at this. It's a 4x4 podcast, and I added it and started listening. And then I can't remember. I think I saw you on Facebook, and you were amenable to doing an interview. We want to do a little cross podcast pollination, so to speak. And I thought that was great. It was wonderful to run across somebody that was doing basically the same thing I was doing. Although your show is more of a wide range, and as by the name, 4x4, which covers a lot of ground, whereas we kind of focus on just the Jeep Cherokee here. So how did you get started with that?
Well, at the time I was living in South Korea. My Army duties had taken me over there, and I was there for 3 years. And after about 2 years, I got tired of being disconnected from my Jeep and from the off-roading community. So I decided, you know what? I've been thinking about starting a podcast. I listened to a ton of them, and I know that once I get back to the United States, I'd appreciate being able to listen to an off-roading and adventure travel type podcast as I'm driving across the country for whatever it is that I'm doing. And I figure I'm probably not the only one, so I went ahead and put together the 4x4 podcast and got my brother on to co-host it. And since then, it's been just a great adventure, meeting all kinds of great people. Met a lot of great people in the industry and a lot of great manufacturers sharing their products, and it's just been a great time. We just crossed the 1 year anniversary, so it's been a lot of fun.
That's great. And you mentioned adventure a couple of times there, and gee whiz, if I was in South Korea, it certainly would go under the heading of adventure to me. Now, you said you're away from the 4x4ing and whatnot. Isn't there like an H1 or something you can take out across North Korea? I mean, being very careful not to wander into I'm in South Korea. Didn't want to wander into North Korea, but surely there's something you can do out there in South Korea, isn't there?
Oh, yes. Now, not with my vehicle, but you're right. At the time, I was in command, so I had access to a lot of military vehicles. And if you actually go to the 4x4podcast.com, under one of the menus is my little profile and tells a little bit about me. And there's some videos of doing some off-road driver training and mounted land navigation type things. And, you know, you can see kind of what off-roading is like in a real military vehicle instead of just the derivative Jeeps that we drive around today.
Now, that's one vehicle that, as far as a Hummer goes, that I've never made fun of, is the military Hummer, because to me, that is a hell of an off-road vehicle. What's your estimation of it?
Well, you know, it's really good, but it's just like any other off-road vehicle. It depends on the driver. In the hands of a really good driver, you can do some just phenomenal things with that Humvee. But in the hands of a new soldier that doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know how to do left foot braking, how to actually engage the lockers that are in the vehicle, you know, it all comes down to the driver. So,
well, it certainly is a very unique looking vehicle, unlike the H2. Now, I kind of like the H3. It's kind of Cherokee looking, but
it's still got some issues with visibility. It's got a real high belt line. That's how it is with a lot of the newer off-road vehicles, like the FJ Cruiser that has the same issue. You know, it's just limited visibility. And the same thing with a Humvee. Military Humvee, man, unless you've got the doors off, you can't see anything out the back.
Well, would part of that be just to protect the soldier inside, or is it just the way it's designed?
I think it's just kind of the way it's designed. There's really no consideration of creature comfort or anything like that. It was very utilitarian, and there's 20 or 30 different variants of the Humvee now. And the newer ones that are actually up armored, yeah, the visibility is an issue because you're covered in armor. But even the older ones, you know, if you take the top off, the doors off, it's still pretty limited just because of the way it's designed.
And how is it approaching obstacles in the Humvee with the 50 caliber on top? I would think that would make you feel a little bit better, because if it really messes it up, you can always take the main gun to it.
Yeah, you can do a lot of damage with the 50 cal.
Do you get to do the depleted uranium rounds, or is it just your standard big bullet?
Mostly it's just the big lead round. The depleted uranium ones are kind of rare, the armor piercing, but
well, I guess in South Korea, you really don't want to be firing off guns that much.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. And one of the funny thing is, a lot of people don't know, a lot of the training areas are very close to the DMZ. And, I've been on some ranges where you can stand on top of a hill and see the markers for the military demarcation line. So you're that close. And some of the ranges, you can't even fire live 50 cal rounds because of the range. It just takes one ricochet and it's gone over the border and you've created an international incident.
Right.
So what they'll do, they have plastic 50 cal bullets.
Okay.
So the range is limited because it's a real light round and it's very inaccurate, but I guess it still gets the feel of firing around.
Yeah, I would imagine that's quite a jolt from just the sound and the bass type stuff hitting your chest. So it would be a little nerve wracking, at least at first, just being that close to that much danger, because you never know when it's going to hit the fan. And
yeah, I kind of stopped thinking about it after
Well, you get used to
having deployed it to actual combat areas where I know I'm being shot at.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like anything. You just accept the way it is, and you're okay now, and you'll probably be okay later. And if not, you'll just deal with it as the situation comes up. We all deal with things that as best we can in stressful situations. So
yeah.
And as I told you in the email, I did want to thank you very much for your service to the country. It's very important to me. I was a kid during the Vietnam War, and I never agreed then or now how they were treated, and I'm glad to see that both political parties are trying to treat our soldiers, at least verbally, they're trying to treat them right. I don't necessarily think that cutting military funding and stuff is a good thing, but there you go.
Yeah, it is totally my pleasure. I really enjoy my job. Despite being sent out to the middle of the desert for however long, there's still a lot of fun to be had. Talking to my sister on Facebook, give me a Humvee with a full tank of gas and a little bit of time to explore. I'll have a ton of fun out here in the desert.
Yep, on the taxpayer's dime too, but not like you're not earning it or anything. I want to indicate that, but that's pretty cool.
There's lots of good training to be had.
Yeah, there you go. So tell us about your Jeep Cherokee, because you're not just a Humvee driver, you're also a Cherokee owner, an operator.
Yeah, I'm really fond of the Jeep Cherokee. I got my first one in 2000. It was a 1990, and drove it up to college from Colorado Springs up to Idaho and put a lot of miles on it. Had it for a number of years, and then finally graduated college and drove it from Idaho, made a cross-country trip, and this was really kind of phenomenal. I went to Northern California, down through Southern California to Phoenix, to Houston, up to Colorado Springs, back down to Houston or Dallas, and then all the way across the United States through Alabama, and then up to Baltimore, Maryland. I put about 6,000 miles on the Jeep in about 2 weeks' time, and it just kind of finally gave up. It flipped the head over, or flipped the cylinder head over inside the cylinder and shot the piston rod out the side of the engine.
Oh, no.
Dumped oil all over the place, and that was it. It gave up. So I was in the market for a new Jeep, and just for fun, I was looking on eBay one night, and I found the Jeep that I have now, and there was a guy about 2 hours south of where I was selling it for less than he spent on the parts. And he was a kind of a spoiled kid, and his dad just paid for all the parts to be installed at a professional shop. So when I bought my 1990 Jeep Cherokee Sport, the two-door, it already had an 8-inch Skyjacker lift with 35-inch BFG mud tires, had the chromoly axle shafts with 456 gears, aux lockers front and rear. I've got the ARB bull bar on the front, Durango 4x4 bumper on the back side, and I think that's all the mods that were done to it when I got it. But that's certainly not a short list.
No, it's not. I mean, you could have done said 2 of those, and it would have been a big deal. My gosh, that's just got to be horrible. I mean, it's great news for you, but that's just got to be horrible for the dad. And I can't help but think that kid, sometime in the future, is going to look back on that and go, "What the hell was I thinking?"
Yeah, well, I think they did it a little bit together as a project. They didn't do any of the wrench time themselves, but just shared in the build-up process, I guess, together. And then they wanted to start a new project, so they sold it off I bought it for $10,000, and I totaled up all the parts, and they were just recently installed. It was still nearly brand new when I got it, and I think he spent $12 just on parts, not even counting the labor. So I picked it up for nothing, and it's been serving me well since 2004. So,
on your 90, the one that gave up on you, what size tires were you running on it?
I was running 30. It's either 31s or 32s.
And it was a standard, probably 355 gears on your differentials?
Yep, 355s. I had a 3-inch Rusty's lift kit that it's funny, I was on it was one of the Yahoo groups. There was a guy down in Albuquerque, so I drove down from Colorado Springs. We met in the middle, and I bought his used lift. He had 3-inch leaf springs and 3-inch coils, and I bought them for $80, used lift kit. Went home, and it took me about 5-6 hours to swap the springs and everything, and it ran great. After a while, I started getting a little bit of drive shaft vibration because I didn't correct the pinion angle. So that caused a little bit of problems, but I didn't get a full 3 inches of lift out of the rear springs because they are, used and already starting to sag. But it was great, kind of a starter. That was my first Jeep, my first lift and everything. Yep, it's kind of what got me into it more.
Yeah, you learn a lot whenever you get out there and start doing those things. So did you notice a big difference between the 355s and the 456 gears?
Oh, yes.
I mean, even with 35-inch tires, you have to notice it. Those 355 on 32s, especially going over just minimal overpasses on the highway, gets to be very interesting. And,
you got to downshift right away.
Yep.
But, even with 35s and 456 gears, I can run down the highway 70 miles an hour, and it's about 2,500 RPMs.
Yeah, that's another reason why I was kind of thinking about doing the 35s, was to get my RPMs back in line. Because if I do 80 with my 33-inch tires, if I do 80 on with the 456 gears, I'm turning 3,000 RPM.
Yeah. It's not real great for the gas mileage. No,
it's not. But it's it's very peppy. It's more like it was whenever I first got it. Now, here in the next couple of days, I'll be changing out the engine with a 4.1 liter. It's not a stroker, just 60 over. Somebody did the calculation for me on XJTalk, and it's going to be about a 4.1 liter Jeep engine, and Matt and I are going to be at his shop in Conroe this Friday swapping that out. So I'm interested to see what it's going to be like with a fresh engine, because I probably had 110,000 miles whenever we put the 456 gears in there. So it'll be interesting with a little extra horsepower and a much fresher engine to see what it's going to be like.
Yeah, you have to make sure you capture all the stats for before and then after.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I've got the gas mileage information. I've been collecting gas mileage information since before the 456 gears were installed, and actually that was the main reason for doing it, but for putting the gears in, because I was told that would make a big difference, and it jumped me. It gave me about a 2 mile per gallon bump. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, of all the things that I've done to it, to trying to fix some of the gas mileage issues, that was the biggest thing. But I'm still, if I see 12 miles per gallon, that's rare.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know why it's that way. I don't think it should be, based on the other things that I've heard. Have you ever done good mile per gallon calculations on yours?
Yeah, I keep pretty close track of that. I usually get between 260 and 280 miles on a tank. I think it comes out to about 14 miles per gallon. But yeah. I end up driving to and from work down state highways, usually doing about 55. So
Yeah.
But I've got the 5-speed manual, so I can get into a top gear pretty quick.
That makes a big difference.
I love having that manual transmission.
Yeah, I hear whenever I went to get mine, I bought mine brand new, and I was looking at it. It was the right color and all that, and I said, this is nice. It was on the showroom floor, and I said, this is nice, but do you have one that's a standard? Because in my mind, a 4x4 should be a standard, and the salesman looked at each other and go, well, they do make them with standard transmissions, but we'd have to order you one from the factory.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the standard thing they tell you whenever they don't want to get you something, they want to sell you what they have.
Yep, they want you to take what's on the lot.
Yeah, and another reason I was looking at standard was my wife and I were actually there to make the decision on a Wrangler, a 98 TJ, and we had 2 young children at the time, 3 and 4 years old, and I saw the red Cherokee there on the showroom floor, and I thought, you know, we could drive this. It's 4 doors. It's still a 4-wheel drive, and we could get the TJ later. So we finally did get that TJ later, much later, earlier this year. So and my wife is driving that one. So we have the TJ, the 98 Cherokee, which we had bought new then, and shortly before, I guess maybe 6 months prior to getting the TJ, I found the 99 XJ, and my oldest daughter is driving that one now. So we are a 3 Jeep family.
That's awesome.
I'm sure the neighbors think we're crazy.
I know, and I'm a 2 SUV family. When my second daughter was getting ready to be born, we realized at the time I'd bought a FJ Cruiser for my wife right the very first year in 07 when it was released, because I was getting ready to deploy. The vehicle we had was a GMC Yukon. It was getting close to 100,000 miles, and I didn't want my wife to have any issues during the supposedly year while I was gone, which turned in 15 months. So you know what, we'll just go ahead and get you a new car. Got the FJ Cruiser, and then we had to get a second vehicle, or a different vehicle, because the FJ Cruiser doesn't really fit 2 car seats in the back.
Really? So, that's interesting. I would have thought it would.
Yeah, there's the way the back seat is arranged. The middle seat in the rear is kind of raised, and it's not real conducive to car seats. And having a rear-facing car seat behind a seat was just not going to happen. It was impossible. Whoever that passenger would be, knees up in their chest through the dash. And so we had to make a decision. Okay, are we going to go for a minivan, or are we going to go for something else? And she was starting to lean towards a minivan. I really wanted to get something bigger that could tow my Jeep, because the multiple moves with the Army, you know.
Oh yeah,
my Jeep,
yeah, that makes sense.
It's not a real highway friendly vehicle. I mean, I can drive it on the highway, but a cross country trip is not going to be real fun.
Right. So
I got her in a Chevy Suburban and test drive, and she said, you know what, I really like this. This is really comfortable. I said, sweet. This V8 will pull the Jeep on a trailer, no problem.
And she goes, yeah, that was my first concern.
She's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care about that. I can put a lot of stuff in the back.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, those Suburbans are great from that, especially with the family.
Yep. So it's been great. I've got a Suburban for my wife, and it'll tow the Jeep across country, which it's done a couple times. And I always know I've got a vehicle to come rescue the Jeep that should it break down, which hasn't happened yet. There was one time we were getting ready to go to Korea and had to put it in storage. So my sister-in-law was going to take care of it. So we drove from like Richmond, Virginia to halfway between there and Nashville. And as I was backing the Jeep off the trailer, the transmission just totally took a dump. I said, great, here I'm in the middle of nowhere with the Jeep with no transmission. And my sister-in-law was going to drive it back to Nashville and take care of it for the 3 years. So I ended up having to run the winch cable back up to the front of the trailer and self-recover itself, drive, just on a, minute's decision, decide, all right, we're just going to drive the west way to Nashville, and kicked it off the trailer in front of Full Wheel Parts there in, I think, Franklin, Tennessee. And they took care of everything.
What did it turn out to be?
The master cylinder.
Oh, okay. So you just couldn't get it,
it was
where you could shift.
It was undrivable.
Right.
I got it into first gear while it was not on. Then I would, leave the clutch out and just use a starter and jockey it back up onto the trailer as much as I could. And I said, you know what? I've got the winch. I might as well just use it.
Sure.
There's been lots of adventures with that Jeep.
Well, the neat thing is that you can usually work out a way to get down the road or like you said, recover itself. It's nice having that ability. And it's kind of funny. I was on Facebook, XJ Talk on Facebook. Somebody, one of the XJ Talk members, posted something from Morris 4x4. It's an image, a satellite image of a hurricane approaching Florida, which is kind of what's in process right now.
Yeah,
it's not the exact image that is currently going on, but it's similar to what's happening currently. And it said something along the lines of Prius owners are wishing they had Jeeps right now.
Oh yeah. It's perfect for those post-apocalyptic seasons, Yeah, gotta have a Jeep.
I mean, it's great to have the gas mileage, and it's great to be one of the cool kids with the low vehicles. But boy, I tell you what, whenever the fan is getting ready to be hit, it's nice to have something that's going to be able to get you from point A to point B in most any situation. And well, I mean, that's the reason why the reason why I built up the 98 in the first place was because of hurricanes here on the Gulf Coast. If not everybody's familiar, I'm located in the Houston area, so we prefer hurricanes here over earthquakes because we have warning, but still it can get pretty ugly given the severity of the hurricane.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm living in northern New York, central New York. It's about an hour and a half north of Syracuse. And we get this last winter wasn't so bad, but I've only been living there for 7 months. But when they do get snow, like the lake effect snow just comes out of nowhere and just slams everybody. And they measure the snow in feet instead of inches. And the few times this last winter when we did get slammed with snow, it was great. It was like a playground. Nobody driving around except for me. I just go blasting through snowbanks, having a blast.
So how was it with the lockers?
Well, since they're ox lockers, I can disengage them anytime. So when I'm driving on ice, they just open differentials and it's no issues. But then when things get muddy and sloppy during the spring, I can engage them and climb out of the soup and the ruts with no problems.
So what do the New Yorkers think of the lifted, actually 8-inch lift is pretty substantial, and the 35-inch tires, what do they think about all that?
Well, it's funny. There's down in Syracuse, there's the CNYJeep.org group, and I went foiling with them a couple times. I go down to their club meetings when I get a chance. They're usually during the week, and I have a hard time getting down there for getting off of work on time. But they're a great Jeep group. There's a couple of them that are running Cherokees. Most of them are Wranglers. But I fit right in with those guys. I guess they kind of give me a hard time, but then when I crawl through the obstacles with no trouble, the ones that they're having a really hard time with, the laughing stops.
Of course. Yeah, then the name calling begins, at least under their breath.
Yeah, but then right in Watertown, the nearest town, they've got a truck club. It's not a Jeep-specific group, and I'm actually one of the smaller guys. They're mostly running full-size pickups. Most of them are diesels, and they've got big exhaust stacks coming out of the bed, running 38s and larger tires. So the first trail run in the spring I did with them, I didn't know really what I was getting into, but they were going through water that was about 3.5 feet deep, and that was coming up to the door on my Jeep. And I thought, well, I got my 4-year-old daughter in the back, and she loves going off-roading, and I just go chugging through the deep mud and water, no problems, and watching them slide off because they've just got lots of lift without the traction aids they need and not the same kind of articulation. So these deep ruts, I've got tons of flex. I can crawl through it, maintain traction, and they're dragging their beds and bumpers across everything, getting hung up.
Right.
So it was funny. I watched the one truck in front of me had his exhaust stack stick up past the top of his cab by about 2 feet, 3 feet. And he had to stop, get out, climb up on the roof with his chainsaw and cut down the tree branches just so he could get past.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the Jeep is a very much a different type of vehicle than the full size pickups. You know, I see those land yachts driving around here all the time, and I love a full size truck. The first 4-wheel drive I had was an '83 Chevy. I went with a 4-inch lift because I didn't like the 6-inch lifts that were very common back then. It was a lot of room between the top of the wheel and the fender. Yeah. So I went with a 4-inch lift and 33-inch tires, and 36.5-inch tires, and it was a blast. I miss being up that high and driving around. It was great. You did have to watch out for small vehicles though, because you might run over one.
Yeah, that was the reason I didn't take my Jeep to Korea. Actually, I didn't take the Suburban because I knew I'd be just hard pressed to get through the narrow streets and everything, but I didn't take the Jeep either because I'd run over a dude on a moped and not even know it.
Yep. And it can be humorous when you say that, but it really literally can happen because you get high enough up in the air, you can't see really what's going on the other side. I remember driving my truck around. It was, I would make a joke about, I didn't see that car that was there. I had the large mirrors on the side of the Chevy truck. And even with that, it was difficult to see. I managed to keep off of people, but you really have to be. It's a different world when you start getting up that high.
Oh yeah, and you got to consider how you're driving because I don't have sway bars on either the front or the rear, but it's got a stiff enough spring rate that as long as you slow down in the corners enough, you really don't feel like you're gonna flip over. Either that or I've just become accustomed to it. I no longer have that same pucker factor that most normal human beings have.
Yeah, it's a much different feeling. I have a tendency to drive mine like a race car with the custom bumpers, and now with the sliders and the frame stiffeners. I've got a lot of weight down low, and I can make turns pretty good. I'm a low, fast kind of guy, and that's the reason why I got into SUVs, trucks and SUVs to start with. It's just so I would have an excuse to not drive fast. It's a lot of fun, but whenever if I forget to connect the quick disconnects back up and I start making those turns, I notice it. It's not earth shattering. It's not like a death wobble or anything. It's just like, hey, that feels kind of strange. I went, I forgot to hook up the sway bar. That's what it was.
Too much lean.
Yeah, what's going on? I got a flat. What's going on? So yeah, I understand. I've heard that on the site where they just don't run the sway bar at all. And of course, mine only came with a front sway bar, so it's quite capable road vehicle with just the front sway bar.
Yeah, I don't know what the rear sway bar does anyways. It's so skinny, the stock one. It just serves virtually no purpose,
I don't know. Recently put a lift on the wife's TJ, and it's got one on there. So I don't know if it's a good thing to have it or not, but whatever. I'll just leave it alone, and then as I learn about the Wranglers, I may do more to it. Well, Dan, we've come to the magical 30-minute mark, and I've been doing my level best to get into the 30-minute limitation. So we can wrap this up, and you can stop tearing up all the minutes on your cell phone.
That's fine.
Yeah, I guess it just really depends on the plan. So when are you going to have another 4x4 podcast episode?
Well, it's a very good question. I guess it would depend on how the recording with this current setup that I have, if it seems to come out okay. I've got a couple interviews lined up. Just got to be able to get them on. Lately, I've been having a lot of overland off-roaders on the podcast. And I've got one lined up, Lewis and Lacey from Lost World Expeditions. They've just got the travel bug, and they've been traveling around through South America, Chile and Peru, and they've just come back for a little sabbatical and refill the bank accounts. So I'd be doing an interview with them pretty soon. Overland Gourmet, Zach from Phoenix, he's an overland traveler that does gourmet cooking. Actually, overlandgourmet.com. He's got a whole store selling cooking gear. Lots of great things going on. Hopefully, if I can work things out right with my boss, I'll be able to escape the Mojave for a little bit for the Southern California Mountain Rendezvous. Got got lots of things going on, but my military professional duties kind of limit things. So worst case, it'll be probably the end of October by the time I get another episode out.
Gotcha. Well, as long as you keep them coming, because I've started listening, and I don't want to sit around and wait for the summer reruns and then wait for the fall schedule and all that stuff that they do. So.
Yeah, I think we've got at least 20 episodes out of the 4x4 podcast, so you might as well skip the first one. That one was pretty bad.
Oh, they always are. They always are. but they're never as bad as you think.
Yeah, it was good. It got things started. And actually, on one of the early podcasts, I did an interview with Jim Taylor. He is the trail boss at the Brazos Valley Off-Road Ranch outside Bryan, Texas. So I know that's a little bit of a drive from Houston, your area. But if you ever get a chance to go up there, I'd definitely give Jim Taylor a call. Awesome trails down there.
Yeah, real quick question. How's your wife with doing the off-road thing?
She loves adventure traveling. Just before we started dating, I think it may have been when I asked her out, I said, what you're getting into, right? Because anytime you hang out with me, you're bound to be involved in some sort of adventure, whether it be planned or unplanned. She said, no, I think I can handle it. I said, well, you say that now. But we just had our 10-year anniversary this last weekend, and it's been a wild adventure the whole time.
Oh, that's right. She
loves it.
That's right. I take that back, because I did listen to the interview where you were talking about teaching your wife how to drive off-road. And so she does go off-road. The reason why I asked that is my wife doesn't want to have any part of going off-road. I went up a steep embankment once before the Jeep was lifted and everything, and my wife almost bailed out. I think she said eject twice before I got it leveled out. The third eject, then the top would have got off and she would have been gone. So.
Yeah. One of the very early times in a relationship with my wife, we went off-roading by ourselves in February in southwest Idaho, which, this is like the strikes are piling up against us.
Yeah.
And eventually we got high centered, and it was probably well below freezing. The frame was literally frozen to the ground, and there was no hope of getting that vehicle recovered. Fortunately, I always have my bug out bag, so I had my sleeping bag, some food and blankets and all the emergency stuff in the back end of the Jeep. So it was ready. So we had a relatively comfortable night, despite the freezing temperatures and blowing wind and the Jeep that was not quite level. But ever since then, it's just been one adventure after another. So
just for clarification, down in Houston, where we don't have weather like that, and we go out with a girl, we run out of gas. But I guess in Idaho, what you do is you high center the vehicle and sleep overnight.
That's right. You wait for daytime to come around and reassess the situation. We were thoroughly stuck. There was no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt a skilled driver can stick a vehicle.
That's right. When I get stuck, it is really, really stuck.
Well, great, Dan. That's funny. We're going to have to get you on again, because I can tell there's some more stories that you can tell. Is there anything you want to tell our listeners before we wrap it up?
Well, no, I just encourage everybody to go check out the 4x4podcast.com and check out all the episodes. You can find it in iTunes. We're on Facebook. I think it's facebook.com/the 4x4 podcast. Nice and easy. I think we're on Twitter and let's see. Also Google Plus. There's not a whole lot of interaction there, just because
it's Google Plus.
Google Plus is still kind of a morphing and developing creature.
It's because there wasn't enough Facebook, They had to come out with something else.
I really like Google Plus, but it's still just kind of a developing community.
Yeah, it really is.
But lately, we've been doing the off-roading question of the day and the off-roading answer of the day, kind of summarize everybody's answers. Lots of good things. Talk about, manual versus automatic transmission. Let's see. We also talked about, do you change your own oil? Kind of modification would you make today if you could? Lots of different things. It's a new question every day, and a lot of interaction on Twitter and especially Facebook. So lots of things to check out. We don't have a forum for the 4x4 podcast or anything. It's just a hobby for me, not a business. It'd be great if hobby could pay for itself, but that's not why I do it. I just enjoy talking about off-roading with folks.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Dan, thanks a lot, and again, thanks for being a guest on the show. It'll help me fill another week before I have to scramble around and find another guest. but you know how that is.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got all these people that you'd love to talk to, but just lining up schedules is sometimes pretty difficult.
If work just didn't get in the way.
Yeah, always interrupt in real life.
Well, thanks again, Dan.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
We welcome and look forward to your questions and comments. Dial 530-675-4102, 530-675-4102, and leave your message on our 24/7 voicemail. Well, that's our show, and I want to thank Dan again, not only for being on our show and doing the interview, but also being a member of our armed services and protecting this country. And, if nothing else, just being in the desert and sweating his ass off, because I know it gets hot here. Fortunately, this past Friday, when MS Moorburg and I were installing the 4.0 liter, or taking the 4.0 liter out and putting in the 4.1 liter, I had a little bit of rain that morning, so it wasn't too terribly hot. It got that way towards the afternoon. And I'm not kidding you, man. I stood there and asked questions and told jokes and held a flashlight. In 10 hours, Matt took that 4.0 out, put the 4.1 in, and got it started and running. We just have a slight little issue with it where it's not performing like we expect it to, so trying to get that lined out. You know how engine swaps are. Who knows what it is. But hopefully by next week we'll have some better news on that, maybe even sooner. So just want to take a moment to remind you that we're on Facebook, so you can friend us at facebook.com/xjtalk. We're on the Twitter, twitter.com/xjtalk. And if you don't want to type that in, you can just go to xjtalk.com. The reason why the podcast is here, the forum about Jeeps and Cherokees and, gosh, technical stuff and fun and jokes and, I won't tell you about anything else. So you can go there, and at the very top, there's little icons that you can click on, including getting to this podcast. Of course, this podcast is available on iTunes and various other outlets, but you can just go to podcasts.xjtalk.com, and you can listen directly from the site, or you can download it onto your smartphone. So anyway, till next week, we hope you have a very good week, and thank you again for listening to the show.
I just wanted to say XJ Talk is the best site in the world, and if you think you know a better site, you. By the way, this is Big Jim 350. Bye.
Yeah, I guess green Jeeps are okay.
xjtalk.com-llc and the Jeep Talk Show podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host, guests, and contributors are their own and do not represent professional advice, endorsements, or recommendations. We strongly advise consulting a licensed or certified mechanic or automotive professional for any repairs, modifications, or maintenance to your vehicle. By listening to or using any information provided on this show, you assume full responsibility for your actions and any resulting consequences, including potential risks to safety, property, or legal compliance. The Jeep Talk Show and its affiliates disclaim all liability for any damages or losses arising from the application of this content.